Krishna Krishna Hare Hare এই নাম গায় গোরাচন্দ্র মধুর সদে এই নাম গায় গোরাচন্দ্র মধুর সদে হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে এই নাম গায় গোরাচন্দ্র মধুর সদে এই নাম গায় গোরাচন্দ্র মধুর সদে হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ কৃষ্ণ হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ কৃষ্ণ হরে 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 রাম 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 হরে 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 রাম রাম হরে হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে 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 রাম রাম হরে হরে রাম হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ কৃষ্ণ হরে 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 কৃষ্ণ কৃষ্ণ হরে 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 রাম Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We welcome you all for ISKCON of Richmond's Saturday virtual Sangha. We are very, very grateful that all of you are here, Thank you for joining us. Today, it's our good fortune that we have His Grace Jagannath Priya Prabhu with us for the first time. We are extremely happy and grateful to you, Prabhuji. Thank you for giving us your time and association. For those who do not know much about His Grace, Jagannath Priya Prabhu, I would like to give a brief introduction. His Grace Jagannath Priya Prabhu is been serving in ISKCON Chowparty for over 25 years. He's a disciple of His Holiness Raghunath Swami Maharaj. Prabhu is very much loved all over the world for his, different discussions on Vedic literatures like Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Mahabharata, and especially interest in the practical application of religion and spirituality. Prabhu is a graduate in engineering, but he is masters in Sanskrit. And also Prabhu was director of some special effects in movies and TV before he joined the ashram in ISKCON Chowparty. Prabhu is also the founder of a very interesting project called Dharma Gurukul, which is basically a culture program focused on the teens. He's also the founder of a magazine called Dharma Today. And Prabhu's been traveling all over the world, giving the talks, especially on the practical applications. So this is our first time having His Grace Jagannath Priya Prabhu on ISKCON Richmond Yatra channel. So we are very happy and again, very grateful to you, Prabhuji. And we are continuing our series of Vaishnava Acharyas. So last time we had a good fortune to hear from His Grace Adi Gadadhar Prabhu on the glorious life of Ramachandra Kaviraj and Gopala Bhatta Goswami. And today, Prabhuji, His Grace Jagannath Priya Prabhu will be speaking on the glorious life of Raghunath Das Goswami. As next weekend, next Saturday is the appearance day, Avirbhav of many Vaishnava Acharyas, including Raghunath Das Goswami. So we'll continue our theme on Vaishnava Acharyas. And without any further ado, over to you, Jagannath Priya Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Can you all hear me well?
Yes, Prabhuji, loud and clear.
Hare Krishna. So do we begin with Radha Madhav or we do the prayers? How do you generally begin?
As you desire, Prabhuji, we can do Radha Madhav, or if you would like, you can directly with prayers also.
Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. My humble pranams to all the devotees of the Richmond Yatra, Divyanam Prabhu and Dayanidhi Prabhu, my old friend, and all the other devotees there. I do not know many of you personally. However, it has been an opportunity which I got to serve all of you in some way and also engage myself in this beautiful morning on a beautiful topic. I was told to speak on the life of Raghunath Das Goswami in some way. Vaishnavacharyas, to discuss their lives is a subject matter which is very relishing to the heart. But when we read about our Vedic literatures, we understand something what is called as adhikar. Adhikar means a deserving right. So especially whenever I'm talking on a subject matter which deals with love or which deals with elevated lifestyles of great Vaishnava Acharyas, I feel very incompetent to do a justified appreciation of their lives and their contribution in our lives. However, as a sadhak, and however for the purification for all of us, it's very inspiring to know about certain facets of their lives and how it impacts our lives today, how it could nourish our lives in the modern context, which is very, very important. So I thank you for this opportunity. I would have not generally, I choose to speak on philosophic subject matters because that's more about practice rather than speaking on subject matters such as these. But however, because this has been the discussion and the day is also approaching soon, so it will give an opportunity to contemplate. One thing about spiritual life is that when you read the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, or even if you read Ramayana, Mahabharata, Upanishads and all, various kinds of stories, various kinds of situations which are described of all different people all over the world since thousands and thousands and thousands of years, millions of years. It is just dealing with one concept, that is how to control the mind. That there is a supreme truth beyond ourselves is not a matter of doubt, even from a physical science perspective. Human beings know that there is something beyond all of us that is known, but what is that and how is that is defined by scriptures. However, that there is something beyond us, there is no doubt about that aspect. And the only obstacle to realizing that feature of reality is our own mind. And that is why, whether you take it from the bhakti literatures of Srimad Bhagavatam, or the Puranic literatures, or Bhagavad Gita, or the Vedanta, anything you read, any examples and stories we read, they are just discussing about one aspect, that is the mind. That's it. The only one aspect. And the singular purpose as described in the Vedic literatures, the singular purpose of life is to purify our existence. Mind is made up of such an element. Mind is actually such an element that it acquires the mood and taste of whatever it associates with. It's like a sponge, Prabhupada would say, like a sponge. When you keep in one particular place, sponge is not going to discriminate whether this water is good or bad. It is just going to suck it. Similarly is the nature of mind. Whatever it is exposed to, it is going to take that color. So in the modern life, we have great ideals in manners of earning money, prestigious form of living, what gives good education, what gives good lifestyle, what gives good money, what gives good health, and so on. And we all have so many role models, which we have not discovered, but it is the media, it is the propaganda all around us, which has defined those ideals for us. And therefore, our minds are largely made up of those ideals. And because our mind has these ideals, naturally what happens as an after effect is your life is going to be driven by the ideals set by the ideals which you have created in your own mind. And this is where the contribution of these great personalities like the six Goswamis, and when we read about Vaishnava Acharyas come, because we also need ideals who help us understand that there is something more meaningful than what you see around with your sensory perceptions. Not in a manner of teaching, because anybody can speak about high-level sciences and aspects of love and so on. But when we speak about ideals, when we see a very rich and powerful person dressing in a certain manner, speaking in a certain manner, doing certain activities in a certain manner, we are driven to follow that lifestyle in everything, in all aspects of our physical existence and also our mental existence. Our physical existence is simply a byproduct of our mental existence. Like, for example, I'm at somebody's home right now, and you see a beautiful darshan of Radha Bansi Bihari ji and Gaur Nitai, and in your background, you see that? You can see that. So just seeing this environment and seeing all of this, it defines what the people who have these deities, it shows that what goes on in their mind. That means their mind is made up of some spiritual activities, some spiritual qualities, some spiritual desires. That means if they are worshipping Radha Krishna and Gaur Nitai, that means they also know something about them. That means they must be having books about them. That means they must be reading something in that domain, and so on. So whatever you see physical has first manifested in the mind, and then only it comes to the physical. That's the point I'm trying to make. So the mental culture is very, very important. What we see, what we hear, that defines our mental culture. And this is where the lives of the six Goswamis and great personalities, it gives a great contribution to that particular principle. Raghunath Das Goswami's life is very exemplary in the sense of it gives a sadhak some kind of, it develops some kind of desire to aspire something more than these material things in this world. See, the thing is that we may read about Krishna being so great, and we may read about he having a very fascinating place called as Golok Vrindavan and so on. But for us to develop this fascination, you need to see a person who has that fascination. For example, by default, nobody is going to start liking smoking or drinking because the taste of liquor is not so, it's not like a milkshake or an ice cream. It tastes very bitter. That's what many people have, those who have tasted, they know it. Smoking. There is not a single person who first, if he would take a puff of a cigarette, that he would not cough. Definitely it is irritating to the body and so on. But when you see somebody fascinated by that, then that creates a desire to stick on to that, and it gives a hope that yes, no, this is good. It is the fascination. You need somebody to love the object which you aspire for, so that you can live up to it, basically. So when you see about lovers of Krishna, when you hear from them and when you see their love for Krishna, that makes Krishna more attractive. And this is a very important aspect which is highlighted. That's why that is the precise reason why Srimad Bhagavatam is existing. Why Bhagavatam is more beautiful and more relishing, because it is not just the word of Krishna. Bhagavatam is about devotees who love Krishna, and that is why Bhagavatam becomes more beautiful. It becomes more relishing. It is very, very nourishing to the heart. It is for this particular reason. And this is why when you see about how these six Goswamis, especially in the modern context, 400, 500 years ago, they have lived their lives. So this is not too far from the modern creation. And when you see their lives, you feel that they had something in their lives which was much more attractive to the wealth than the modern wealth and other aspects. When you meet a lover of any particular object, let's say, I'll give you an example. Let's say I have a Mercedes Benz, which is very beautiful. Now, if I meet a person who has a specific model of a car which he loves so much and he's so fascinated, even a person who may be having a better car, he starts thinking maybe my car is not so attractive. By the sheer attraction and fascination of a person to a particular object, it makes your own fascination for your own things lesser. It's amazing when we are fascinated with these material things that you could meet somebody who has no material things and he shames your own fascinations. And this is something so beautiful about Vairagis or devotees of the Lord, that despite having everything, you could just meet a great devotee of the Lord and he could just make you feel that you really have not achieved something substantial. And this is very essential to make spiritual progress. Otherwise, as long as you have this mental framework that I am really having something substantial because I compare myself with other materialistic people, so I am doomed then. And this is so fascinating how a mind gets bewildered in a very positive way. This is important to understand the aspects of wealth, because specifically in the case of Raghunath Das Goswami's charitra and character, which we are discussing today, he was a son of a very, very wealthy person. In fact, amongst the six Goswamis, Sanatan Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, these people were not ordinary people. Raghunath Das Goswami was the son of Govardhan Majumdar, who used to be a very, very wealthy landlord during those times, approximately in the beginning of the 16th century, approximately 15th and 16th century. So towards the end of, in the beginning, end of the 15th century, Raghunath Das Goswami was born. Now his father, Govardhan Majumdar, he was actually collecting taxes on behalf of the Muslim rulers at that time. So they had leased him the entire district to take care on behalf of them. So the government had kept the Hussein Shah, the king, had kept the fixed amount of 12 lakh rupees per year to be paid to the government. And then whatever over and above he will collect, that's his. So the scriptures explain, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami explains in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that he used to collect approximately 20 lakh rupees a year, and he used to give 12 lakhs to the king there. So 8 lakhs was his annual income, 8 lakh rupees. What is 8 lakh rupees today? Today also 8 lakh rupees is a big amount, right, in India? It's a big amount. Annual package of 8 lakhs is approximately 60,000, right? 70,000 rupees a year, which is $1,000 per month, which is not a small amount even today. Even for a typical American worker working in Walmart also, they make $1,000, $1,200, right? Not much a month. And they make a survival even today. So 500 years ago, it is explained that you could get for 1 rupee, I assume that many of you are from Indian background, so you understand the denomination of rupee. For 1 rupee, you could get 3 quintals of rice those days. That is approximately 300 kgs. And earning 800,000, 8 lakh rupees is no joke. This is why I began with discussing about mind, wealth, and having ideals who are really rich people. Raghunath Das Goswami was the only son of Govardhan Majumdar. Not only that, Govardhan Majumdar had a brother, Hiranya. Now, Hiranya also did not have any son. So basically, two brothers had only one person, the one son who was there, and the entire inheritance of their wealth, which was there. This I'm talking about wealth of 1 year. Huh? Every year 800,000. So how many years they collected? There's no. It's like a billionaire kind of a calculator, right? It would be billionaires. That kind of wealth. And what was the impact of wealth on Raghunath Das Goswami? What was the impact of other sages, whom great saintly people whom he met in his life? That's very, very fascinating. Of course, in a few minutes of discussion, 1 hour, we cannot give justice to it, but I'll try to summarize it in a way that it's relevant to us, especially those who are in America. Raghunath Das Goswami's father and brother, they used to collect $800,000, 800,000 rupees extra, which was, it was not collecting extra. It is like, you take it on lease and then you manage it by yourselves. So the Nawab at that time, he also had an agent to collect the tax on behalf of the king. Means collect tax from those people they have leased it out. So this person would take a commission of 25%. So 25% in 800,000, what is that? 200,000. So 200,000 would be given to as commission, and then what they'll get is 600,000, something like that. So what Hiranya and Govardhan would do is they would timely pay taxes directly to the king, and they eliminated the middleman. This is a typical Indian mentality, or good mentality in the sense that, or let's say you have all these online businesses is only eliminating middlemen, right? Basically, and replacing the middlemen by themselves. So in that, they saved a lot of money. Very smart people. I'm giving you a background of, they were the kind of capitalists, successful businessmen, what you aspire for today. Many of you who are working for these opulent industries in America and the skill set they have, I'm trying to say that they already had those skills 500 years ago. Coming from such a background, they were very devoted. They had a family priest who was Balram Acharya, and that family priest was a devotee of a great person called Yadunandan Acharya. So they were connected to saintly people and having this Vedic rituals and chanting and devotional things aspects. Those things were there, although being so rich. Now, in that process, there was a saintly person by the name of Haridas Thakur, whom you all must have heard in Chaitanya Charitamrita, who is given the title as Namacharya. He used to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. He would chant this mantra for approximately 22 hours a day, almost 192 rounds, as it says, 300,000 names per day he would chant. So Haridas Thakur was very close to Balram Acharya, who was the family priest of Raghunath Das Goswamis. Raghunath Das, he was not a Goswami that time, he was known as Raghunath. So sometimes it would happen that Raghunath would meet Haridas Thakur. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Antya Leela, if you read the pastimes where there is a discussion of Haridas Thakur and so on, so in that there's just there's a passing mention that it was because that Raghunath had received the mercy of Haridas Thakur and the favors that saintly person would sometimes visit their homes, or they would go and visit Haridas Thakur. It was the association of Haridas Thakur which sowed the seed of love, attraction to the message of Godhead and the transcendental love in the heart of Raghunath Das Goswami, that he eventually became an associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it is explained that he would, that Raghunath would hear about all these divine interactions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He had heard so many things about Mahaprabhu, right? So one time Mahaprabhu had come to Shantipur, which was a place where near to where Raghunath and others were staying. So Raghunath got an opportunity, and that time Lord Chaitanya had just taken sannyas. So it was, when you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, that's a very overwhelming pastime, that Mahaprabhu, who had such attractive bodily features and great hair and very impressive in his manners of conduct and talks and very wise, very intelligent. He was a Pandit that time. So Mahaprabhu would be the most perfect, ideal, influential Grahastha if he would have been continuing that ashram. But suddenly at one point of time, he decided to take sannyas. And when he took sannyas, that broke the hearts of so many people. And it was also the news in the town that Lord Chaitanya has taken sannyas and so on. So Raghunath had heard about these things. So today, these days, we have so many movies, Bollywood and Hollywood heroes who are our ideals and role models. And maybe some, in America, you may have some basketball, LeBron James and other kind of people in football and others who could be your role models and so on. So if they are coming nearby to your home, obviously there is a lot of excitement amongst children to go and see, right? For Raghunath Das Goswami, those days, at least in that area when Mahaprabhu came, everybody, it was a talk of the town that Lord Chaitanya is visiting. So Raghunath Das Goswami was so excited that he wants to meet Lord Chaitanya. His father would sense that Raghunath, although he's a young boy, why is he having excessive attachment to visiting Haridas Thakur again and again? Why he wants to hear about these things? Why doesn't he want to learn about the manners of how to manage the estate, wealth? You know, you're from a highly aristocratic family and you don't show interest in your family business. So that bothers, obviously. And when you're the only inheritance, only person to inherit the property. So they were worried. But then when Mahaprabhu came, when Lord Chaitanya came, Raghunath Das Goswami went and met him, and for a couple of days he would see how he would interact with devotees. He got exposed to the whole environment of this Mahaprabhu and his disciples and so on. So he started developing a lot of desire to associate more and more and more. And that desire became very prominent, that came in notice of their parents, his parents. And they started feeling that this is a little bit too much. And obviously, parents, by their natural affection for the child, they always feel worried in these manners, because the path of sannyas or giving up family life and so on, it's a very treacherous path. It's an unpredictable, it's a path where you cannot, it's not only unpredictable, but it's undefined also. I would say undefined. People want to walk on a path that has been defined in a certain way. So since time immemorial, even today I can say this, that the path of sannyasis and all, it's a very undefined path. You cannot predict anything, for that matter, how the situation will be 5 years, because you are actually dealing with the mind and intellect all the time. It's a struggle with your own self, and it's a struggle which is a constant struggle, a struggle every single second. And that's why people always choose to walk a path which is more safe and secure, rightly so. So they started feeling that this person, since childhood, if he starts getting attached to sannyasis and this and that, that's going to create a disruption. And therefore they wanted to discourage him meeting. But Raghunath's enthusiasm could not be contained. After Mahaprabhu decided to leave Shantipur and go to Vrindavan, Raghunath Das Goswami thought, every day he would keep talking in the house. He would want to meet Haridas Thakur again. He would want to meet all the associates of Lord Chaitanya who were there. Again and again, he would want to go and know about Lord Chaitanya. So that became very obvious. And then he told his father that I want to go to Jagannath Puri, because Lord Chaitanya had gone there. And he would insist. So his father denied. So one time it happened that obviously these things Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami does not discuss in detail, but it is implied that Govardhan Majumdar, his father, he kept 11 guards just to observe Raghunath Das Goswami so that he does not run away from home, because it happened so many times that Raghunath would go away from home. Means obviously there must be quarrels and hota hoga na daily, that he wants to go and he does not allow and says, okay, I'm leaving, and he goes and then the guards come. So there were 11 people who were employed. 2 were Brahmanas. They were not exactly like guards, but they were guards for the mind, sometimes guiding him and this and that. 5 were like soldiers only, full-fledged, just observing this person that he should not leave. And others were his servants. But essentially everybody was told that keep a watch on this fellow, that he is not in control. And in this manner, he was getting suffocated, that I cannot visit Lord Chaitanya. What is the problem if I go to Jagannath Puri? And the parents were thinking that this boy is just 15 years of age. He's immature. How does it's a childhood fascination. And it's okay if you are fascinated by some king and all these things. What is this fascinated by a sannyasi? It's a good for nothing fellow. Means not in the spiritual sense, because the parents were also devotees and all that. So they were cultured, so they understood all these things, but not especially for a person coming in an aristocratic family. So they had kept these guards, and Raghunath Das Goswami would constantly think of what to do, how to get out of this. And in this whole process, as I said, that because the parents would directly go to the king and the father and his brother would directly go to the king, eliminating the commissioning agent. So this agent, at one point of time, he conspired that Hiranya and Govardhan are cheaters and they are not paying the right tax to the king and so on. And he conspired and he got them caught. He was trying to, catch them. So Hiranya and Govardhan had to run away from that place. So at that time, Raghunath was alone. So he caught Raghunath, that particular agent, he caught Raghunath and threatened to punish him and so on. And that you have to pay the penalties. Your father and your uncle are there, cheats and so on. And at that time, it is explained how Raghunath Das Goswami, by his very diplomatic words and actions, speaking very softly, he told his own agent who captured him, he said that you are like you all are great people who are helping so many people in the town to survive. You are like a peer. Peer means in Muslim they say peer baba. That means you are devotees, you are so nice people, and you are like brothers. You are like a brother to my father. They always refer to you like that only. So I know that both of you are quarreling, but your quarrel is just like brothers. Today you are quarreling bitterly, but tomorrow you may just be friends. So why are you trying to punish me for that? I'm sure that they will settle this matter and so on. So it is explained by hearing his words, such sweet words of affection of that small child who was referring to him as his uncle. He started crying. That this Govardhan, this little sweet little boy, he's so nice, so cute, and he just brought me into his family in manners of affection and the way he's speaking about relationships. So he said, okay, I forgive you, I'm letting you go, but you should tell your father and they have to settle these dues and so on. He said they will settle. So Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami says that even at that age, he wanted to run away from the world, from this aristocratic life, but he had all the diplomatic skills. So this is the point which is being explained, that it is not that he was a stupid fellow, a dull fellow, knowing nothing, and therefore we see all the time people being born to billionaires, but they have no skills. But this is the point being mentioned here by Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami. Although he was young, it was not that he was fascinated by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu because he lacked certain skills and abilities. He had every ability of diplomatic negotiation. You cannot negotiate something, somebody is holding you as a security against your own father for a tax evasion of 200,000 rupees at that time. IRS, do you think IRS will forgive you in United States? It's not possible. So he got forgiven just by his word. So that shows his diplomatic skills. However, then his parents came and all those things happened. But then day by day, his desire was increasing. Then again, at one point of time, when Mahaprabhu came to Shantipur, so Raghunath Das Goswami insisted to his father that at least now allow me to go. He's not in Jagannathpur, he's come here. At least allow me to go. And then the father allowed him on the condition that, okay, you can visit him, but you have to come back soon. So these days you have vehicles to travel and you can travel, but those days there were not vehicles. So if you want to go from a place, say from Calcutta or say from Shantipur to Mayapur also, it will take so many hours, probably a day or two to reach there, and then, from one place to another. Not exactly from Mayapur, but yeah. It will take a couple of days, and then there used to be these melas and festivities. So if Mahaprabhu came, so 7 days, he will be staying at somebody's place, all the devotees will gather, there'll be prasad, there'll be food and all other distribution, all these things going on. So he said that, okay, you come back soon. So Raghunath Das Goswami agreed. So he stayed there for 7 days, serving Mahaprabhu very intimately in the association of devotees, obviously, because he was very young, so he used to assist. But he got to see Mahaprabhu and interact with his devotees. So that developed a great desire that I want to associate Mahaprabhu full time. So at one time, with that deep desire, he just approached Mahaprabhu, and that's a discussion which I want to take today, which comes in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila chapter 16. So I'll read these few verses. They are very, very beautiful. बार बार पलाया तेहो नीलाद्रि यईते पीता तारे बांधी राखे आनी पाठ हईते. Raghunath Das used to run away from home again and again to Jagannath Puri, means to go to Jagannath Puri, but his father kept him binding and bringing him back. So eventually his father had 5 watchmen guard him day and night. 4 personal servants were employed to look after his comfort, and 2 of the brahmanas were employed to cook for him. So imagine the opulence, which many of you, even if you are millionaires, you don't have this opulence in America, right? So you can imagine that. So it is explained that when he met Mahaprabhu, that thought was there in his heart that how shall I be able to get free from the influence of this watchman and my family who is not allowing me to take shelter of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And how will I be able to always be? When Mahaprabhu, because see, Lord Chaitanya, he's Paramatma residing in the heart, right? So he's God himself. So Mahaprabhu understood looking at this boy, what he's thinking. So understanding his mind, he spoke something which is very, very interesting and very important for all of us to know. Sthira haya ghare yao naho vatula krame krame paya loka bhava sindhu kula. So Mahaprabhu said, Sthira haya ghare yao means become sthir, become sober, become stable. Ghare jao, go back home. Because Raghunath Das Goswami had this desire that I want to now immediately renounce. So he said, no. Krame krame paya loka bhava sindhukula. Krame krame paya. Krame krame means gradually, step by step. Step by step, you will be able to cross this ocean, bhava sindhukula, this bhava sagar, bhava sindhu, you want to renounce, right? So krame krame, step by step, you will be able to achieve that. But right now, you go home. Very interesting things here. Just this verse reminds me of a verse in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna speaks about a quality of dhairya. Rupa Goswami Sthira is also discussed in the Gita. Rupa Goswami speaks about dhairya as a principle, which is very essential. In fact, I share this with many devotees that one of the most important qualities for a sadhak is the principle of patience. It is only that when we lack patience to deal with our own anarthas, we lack patience with our own selves, that we want to rush into something, we want somebody to do some magic, we want to forcibly eat some Mahaprasad or forcibly take some dust, and maybe quantify it that I took Mahaprasad 10 times, I took dust of 10 times, I did Ganga dipping for 100 times, I did 6 parikramas and this yatras. We want to quantify our service in some way just because we are impatient to deal with our own selves. This is very, very important for sadhakas, that to have a certain amount of patience. Don't fall trap into any statement which makes you feel that you have a shortcut in spiritual life. Yes, the only shortcut in spiritual life is kripa, that Krishna by his own sweet will. And for that kripa, there is nothing that you can do as such to force him to give kripa. Yes, you can do something which can invite kripa, but that something is not always quantified, right? So that's why sthira haya gare yao na ho vatula. Vatula means don't become impatient. Only by patience you can do these things. This is very important. I remember a doha of Kabir, which he says, धीरे धीरे रे मना धीरे सब कुछ होए माली सींचे सौ घड़ा तू आए फल होए. So Kabir also in this doha he speaks that slowly and gradually sab kuch hoye. Dhire dhire, oh mind, he's telling to them, oh mind, slowly and gradually everything will fall in place. Mali sinche sau ghada means, a mali means a gardener. He may think that, oh, now it is winter season, it is snowing today. Here, it's winter. And now the trees have lost their flowers. So what should I do? Now I will pour more water. So mali sinche sau ghada. Sinche means to, and sau ghada, 100. You can put 100 pots of water, but phala or the leaves and the fruits will come when ritu aaye phala hoye. Only when the season comes, it will happen. But when the season comes, it will happen only when you are putting the necessary water every single day. So if you are nourishing your spiritual life, doing the necessary duties, responsibilities, and things every day diligently, you may have some seasons where your own life appears colorless. There are no green leaves, there are no colorful fruits, nobody is deriving any juice from you, and you are also not getting juice by yourself. You are having no fruits at all. Okay, it's a bad season, no problem. Do not cut that tree. Do not give up on that tree. If the tree holds on to the ground, if the devotee holds on to the ground and continues, that's why this important thing which is here, nahu vatra, don't become impatient. Yes, you have 3-4 months where 6 months it's going to snow, not a single leaf. It's okay. Keep nourishing the ground. Krame krame paya loka bhava sindhu kura. Markata vairagya nakara loka dekhana. Don't do this markata vairagya. Markata vairagya means the monkey renunciation. What is monkey renunciation? Monkey also eats only fruits and is naked. So, एक साधुओं का बोलते हैं ना कि he is निर्वस्त्र and have not even food and no clothes and so on. So that's like a sadhu, right? So this comparison is given by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Also, he speaks more on Markat Vairagya. Here, Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami is speaking in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Markat Vairagya na kara loka dekhaya. Just for the sake of people seeing you that how great a devotee you are, don't make any attempt in spiritual life with that with that motivation. Markat Vairagya na kara. Yatha yogya vishaya bhunja anasakta haya. Yatha yogya means get involved in the worldly matters. Vishaya bhunja. Vishaya means worldly pleasures. Get into that. How much? Yatha yogya. as much as is necessary and as much as is required. That is called yatha yogya. Anasaktahaya. Get involved with the world as much as is necessary, but without a sense of attachment, without a sense of emotional dependence that this is what is my worth. Do not attach worth to the material existence, even while you need to keep your body and soul together. This is what it means. Rupa Goswami also speaks about this concept of Yukta Vairagya. People sometimes misunderstand. Yukta Vairagya does not mean that I will fulfill all my ambitions and somehow engage it in Krishna's service. No, that is not Yukta Vairagya. Yukta Vairagya means I will fulfill all my materialistic engagements as much as is necessary within the comfort zone. That is called Yukta Vairagya. It's not like that I have an unsatiable desire to do something just to gain a material position. And then, but at the same time, I want to also be connected to Krishna. So I will build 1 or 2 temples, which is like a drop of water from my whole ocean. That's not Yukta Vairagya. So there's a difference between Yukta Vairagya, which is being discussed here, Yatha Yogya Anasakta Haya. What does that mean? Yatha Yogya means do what is necessary now, because Raghunath Das Goswami was already in a heritage of such rich position and all. And he did not have to again strive to become a millionaire or something. He said, okay, just do it. Gradually a time will come. So for the time being, Mahaprabhu said, enjoy certain material things, Yatha Yogya, and learn detachment. Eventually, you will come to the place. Antare nishtha kara bahya loka vyavhara. Antare nishtha, inside, bring nishtha. What is nishtha? Nishtha is a beautiful term. Nishtha means not just doing something because ritualistically you like to do, or because it's a good thing to do, because Guru has told me, and so on. Nishtha means a natural sense of belonging to that particular thing. That is what is called nishtha. Discipline is I wake up, I do arti, I do chanting and other things. Nishtha means I feel that I belong to that. I cannot miss that because it's my natural. It's natural for me. Just like I have nishtha to eat certain things. I have nishtha for my own choice of maybe Netflix or Amazon. Out of millions of the regularly I watch this episode, which is coming in 10 seasons or whatever. Nishtha means where you feel a sense of belonging. So that is what he's saying. Antare nishtha. Show your nishtha inside. Practice spirituality in a way that you feel connected within. That is what he's saying. Bahya loka vyavhara. Externally behave as if you're just like many other ordinary people. Loka vyavhara. Just do it normal. Achirat Krishna tomaya karibe uddhara. Very beautiful line. Achirat means, what does Achirat mean? Bengali. Chirakala. Chirakala means very long time. Achira means soon. Achirat Krishna tomaya karibe uddhara. Very soon, just by doing like that, very soon, Krishna will do your uddhara. And then Mahaprabhu speaks something to Raghunath Das Goswami, which relieves his heart. See, Raghunath has not yet spoken that I want to be part of you, just that his burning desire in his heart and seeing a young boy trying to keep excessive proximity with me, Mahaprabhu is understanding that I know what he's up to. So then he says, Mahaprabhu says, very soon I'll be going to Jagannath Puri and you will get an opportunity to associate with me there. And that time you can come. So Raghunath gets some sense of relief. So he says, Ke Ama Pasha Asiha Kona Chale. You do some chala, you will get an opportunity to chal. What is the chal he wanted to do? He wanted to get rid of his guards. So he said, very soon you will get an opportunity to do chal and you can come. And said, but don't do some things unnaturally. Se chala se kale Krishna spurabe tomare Krishna kripa yare tare ke rakhite pare. He says, you are struggling so much to come to me. But do you know when Krishna decides that it's right time for you, nobody in this world will be able to stop you. This is a very important point for all of us. Sometimes we all become impatient. No, I want to go back to this life. I want to go back to that. No. Think, I want to chant my rounds nicely today. I want to purify my heart. I want to do my duties nicely. I want to focus on that. Going back to Godhead is not something which you need to keep like a goal of a day-to-day accomplishment. Day-to-day, what can be accomplished is your sadhana, is your practices. Golok is not a part of your accomplishment. It's a kind of a gift. It's something which Krishna will take you. You don't need to pick that in your heart as something, an object to be accomplished. So somebody who has Krishna Kripa, tare ke rakhite pare, who can stop him? So don't worry. Having said this, Mahaprabhu, he bade farewell to Raghunath Das, and Raghunath did exactly what Mahaprabhu said. Suddenly when he came home, Govardhan was so happy seeing Raghunath that he's so nice now. He's talking to family members nicely. He's doing all duties nicely. He's taking interest in all these matters and so on. And he was engaged without attachment, he used to do. And slowly, they relaxed his guard. So after a couple of months, one day some incident happened that one of the pujaris was not there and they had to fetch another brahmana to bring home. And so his father told Raghunath that you go and bring that brahman. So he went with the senior family priest, Yadunandan Acharya. So, Raghunath went and told Yadunandan Acharya, you go home, I am going to this brahmana and I will send him to your place. You don't need to worry. So at that time, it was early morning. The guards were sleeping. He went and he promised Yadunandan Acharya that I am going to send these guards, the brahmana, don't worry. So the priest went away and then Raghunath disappeared. He never came back after that actually. He just went to Jagannath Puri. After a couple of hours, when Raghunath did not arrive, Govardhan thought that where has he disappeared? Right? The guards have not seen him. Yadunandan said that, he was going to send Brahmana and nobody and so on. So father understood. So they knew that Mahaprabhu has gone, and there was a devotee called Shivanand Sen, who was a very rich aristocratic person. So he used to manage the prasad for so many devotees and arrangement and stay. So he and because he was also aristocratic, obviously Govardhan also aristocratic. So Govardhan, Shivanand Sen, all like big people connecting with each other. So they told Shivanand, he immediately reached out a messenger to Shivanand Sen and told him that, have you seen my son Raghunath? And Raghunath is having this desire and I don't want him to do like this. So in a letter petitioning Shivanand Sen, he says, please return my son back to me. Very sad. If you read this pastime, sometimes they are very sad. But at the same time, it shows that how much wealth and influence this person had, yet nothing could touch him. And so on. So it is explained that he went there under the shelter of Mahaprabhu, and as soon as he reached there, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Raghunath that from today I entrust you in the service of Swarup Damodar Goswami, and do whatever he says, accept his instruction as my instruction, and just serve him. That in that way you will perfect your life, and so on. So Mahaprabhu just gave a simple instruction to Raghunath Das Goswami. See, this is something very important to understand here, is that sometimes devotees also feel that if I associate with my spiritual master or guru, that means I must get an adhikar of doing the personal service every day and so many other things. When we hear about Raghunath Das Goswami's attachment to Mahaprabhu and his serving, it was not that he was getting the daily pleasure of meeting him, talking him and all those, sitting with him and all of that. It was just an instruction which Mahaprabhu gave and said, just follow Swarup Damodar Goswami. After a couple of months, still in his heart, he had this desire. He came to Mahaprabhu and once and said, Mahaprabhu, I would like to do something. So he said, follow the instruction of Swarup Damodar Goswami, that is enough. So, and Raghunath Das Goswami engaged in that. Those days, now all of these were sannyasis, and it was a norm of those days that, a sannyasi could never be in the house of rich people. For example, today we do see, even Prabhupada, he traveled, he used to be with many rich people and influential people. So this is 500 years later, right? 500 years ago, if a sannyasi was seen with a rich person, that would be like a stigma on his character. Like Mahaprabhu cannot stay in Shivanand Sen's house. Shivanand Sen can create a quarters for Mahaprabhu and devotees somewhere, but like staying with Shivanand Sen, traveling in his own car and palanquin and all those things, not a car, but a palanquin. It was not accepted norm that time. So all the sannyasis would beg when they were not having a group satsang in a particular place. Then how will you survive? The begging was the means. So Raghunath Das, when Mahaprabhu was staying at Jagannath Puri, they did not have a guarantee of food and how they are going to say. Sannyas life, those days were like that. You have come and joined Mahaprabhu. That does not mean it is Mahaprabhu's responsibility to take care of your food, clothing, shelter. For example, today if a brahmachari or a sannyasi joins ISKCON or any particular organization, it is a natural mandate on the organization to take care of at least the food, clothing, shelter. This is important for all brahmacharis also to know the spirit of renunciation. That it is not the mandate of your guru or your organization or your environment or even also the people whom you are visiting to actually take care of you. They can do that as a manner of their own reciprocation and their service in some manner, but that thought should not be the prime motivation in the heart. So sannyasi, so those days this could not be even accepted that way. So Raghunath Das Goswami was not fed by Lord Chaitanya or anybody, nor even Srila Sanatan Goswami, Swarup Damodar Goswami. They would all be managing their own food. Everybody was going and doing their own raising their own madhukari. अपने अपने हिसाब से. तो Raghunath Das Goswami would beg at a place near Simhadwar at Jagannath Puri temple. And it is explained at that place, it was like at that place many people used to be there and they used to beg, literally coming. And after a couple of days, now it became famous there that many sannyasis, and this young sannyasi Raghunath Das Goswami is also begging, son of a very rich aristocrat person, he's also begging. So eventually it became known to people that, okay, this Goswami begs here, this Goswami begs here, everybody knew. So even somebody wants to do charity, he will get darshans and they are also begging. But what Raghunath Das Goswami was thinking, one day that thought came to him that whenever I am begging, I am expecting that the person whom I am seeing, that probably he will give something. A beggar, when he sees a person, he makes an estimate in his mind that maybe he's coming from a very big car, so he may be giving me $100, $10. This person is an ordinary car, he may not give. So beggar also has his own estimation in his mind. So Raghunath Das Goswami felt that I am trying to judge people. That means my own materialistic mind is yet making expectation that this person will give me good charity, means some food where I can eat. He felt that he was getting contaminated by these thoughts. And therefore he stopped begging there. And this news came to Mahaprabhu that these days Raghunath Das Goswami is not begging here. So he called for Sanatan Goswami, Swarup Damodar Goswami, that where is Raghunath? Where is he these days? So Swarup Damodar said, now he does not beg at a place. He goes to a place where they are giving fixed bhandara types, So Mahaprabhu then he said, this is very good, because when you are begging, you are like a prostitute. You are thinking which client will give me more. And therefore your mind gets contaminated that he will give me more, he will give me less, and so on. And when somebody gives you more, you are thinking that maybe next time when I visit, he will give me more. And then Mahaprabhu said that this is an attitude of a prostitute. And it is good that now he's not begging. Instead, he's going to a place where a fixed prasad is given. So he does not have to think. Jo mila aaj, that's fine. And no need to beg anybody. So Mahaprabhu appreciated this. Now just see here, there is no instruction going on a daily basis, what to do, what not to do, and so on. But there is much a desire of Raghunath Das Goswami as a disciple to keep investigating in his heart what is the best thing to do, how I could improve myself. Otherwise, he would be feeling that I left such a rich family and this and that, and I am here, so and so. Now this news reached to Govardhan that Raghunath is begging. Now somebody who is a billionaire, he could not handle this. So he requested Shivanand Sen, and also through Shivanand Sen, he told his son that at least accept some servants with you. You continue what you want to do. Thoda agar zarurat pada to. So he sent 2 brahmanas and two cooks and some people just to take care. In case thoda sa you take care. And Raghunath thought that, okay, I do not want to disturb this setup. But let it be therefore. So Raghunath would not actually take any favors from his cooks and servants who were sent, but he would think that, okay, instead of wasting my time in other things, I will just take whatever is necessary and I'll continue my sadhana. So Raghunath Das Goswami also would chant for around 23 hours a day. He would barely sleep 1.5 hours. Rest all the time he was just chanting. So in that time, then Nityanand Prabhu came and visited, and he thought that let me serve the devotees. So because he had servants and he knew that he had a place that he could engage as much resources from his parental money, and father would not deny. So he organized the first Dahi Chida festival for all the devotees. Raghunath Das Goswami facilitated that. But after that, eventually, I'll not get into that pastime, but then he thought that, what is this? I'm now having control over the resources of my father, which is not mine, actually. So this mentality is not good. So he gave up that also. And eventually it is described that his levels of renunciation reached to such an extent that he would think that why should I even take something which is expected by many other beggars. So it is explained that in Jagannath temple, whenever rice would be cooked for the deities, that rice which could not be sold to the devotees or distributed, and which was there for 2 days, it would get rotten. So that rotten rice was thrown away by the temple authorities in a particular place, which was also rejected by the cows because of the rotten smell. So Raghunath Das Goswami would take that rice and he would bring it at home, wash that rice, and then eat it. So this news reached to Nityanand Prabhu. Nityanand Prabhu accused him that you are such a hypocrite. You are such a kind of a person making a show that you are not eating good things, but you are eating the most palatable thing. And then he took that. Even Mahaprabhu, when he came, he also took that rice. He said, why are you doing this kind of things? Why are you lying to the world that you are not having tasty prasad? The best of the meals which I am having is the meal which you are eating. And they also participated eating that rotten rice of Raghunath Das Goswami. So it's a very, very beautiful episode. We don't have time much to discuss, but maybe in a 2-3 hour katha, you can discuss these things in detail. But here you also see that how Mahaprabhu, although on a day-to-day basis, there was no interaction. It was not that Raghunath Das Goswami was getting credits for doing certain service in a certain way. But he as a sadhak, he as a disciple, he had that spirit to align with the truth, to make one's life so dedicated, so nice. That was more beautiful. It was not that, of course, that rice, if we would eat, we would get sick and probably we would die also. That's not the recommendation to do that. But the thing is that Mahaprabhu, although he was not cooking palatable stuff, but Mahaprabhu said, this is better than most offerings which are brought to me. More palatable than Shivanand Sen and all other devotees' opulent offerings. So what does that show? That shows that what we do with our sincerity in our heart with that nishtha, that is more tastier, that is more palatable, and that's more of a beautiful offering to the Lord. So I would like to stop here. Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Raghunath Das Goswami ki jai. So if anyone has any questions or comments, please feel free to share.
Yes, so first of all, we would like to express our gratitude, Prabhuji. It was such a nourishing, very, very wonderful discussion about the early life of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. It was really, really beautiful, and especially the points you made, the focus on teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to Raghunath Das Goswami about patience and building the nishtha in the heart. That was such a nice point. It's like, very much we can relate with our lives also. So you really brought up some nice practical points also. And also about the mind, how you started the talk and how, you connected at the end, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was really relishing his nishtha from his heart. So that was so very beautiful. We are very, very grateful for that. And also, thank you, Dayanidhi Prabhu, for connecting us with Prabhuji. So now, like Prabhuji said, we can take a few questions. So at this point, if you have any questions or comments, you can please raise your hand. And then in order, we can unmute you, and then you can ask your question. Okay. So I see a couple of hands here. So first hand is from SSD. Oh, Subal Saka Prabhu, maybe. So Prabhu, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes.
It's a nice, wonderful class, and I really. Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
Hare Krishna, yes, Prabhu.
It's a nice, wonderful class, and the question I have is. Being such a born in a aristocratic family and having so much wealth and everything, how did he got? How did he got into devotion? Is it because of he is a manjari or something, or he's having, is it even possible for a normal people like us in today's world? Can we develop such kind of something, or is it his atmosphere, or what makes him to move to that side from one extreme to the other extreme?
Yeah, he was never in the one extreme in the first place. So that's one thing. But see, in any lila or pastimes which we read in our Vedic literatures, or when we read Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's associates, one thing we have to understand, that the intimate associates of the Lord are also part of his intimate Leela. That is one part of it. But if these pastimes or if these things were not possible for us to do, there would be no point of trying to show these kind of things. Right? Krishna, when he lifted Govardhan, he was not trying to show that you can lift Govardhan. But what Krishna's devotees are doing, that is possible by us also. And by natural growth, we can achieve that. That is 100% possible. Otherwise, there was no meaning to showing somebody being so renunciate and simple and so on. The thing we learn from here is that there is a pleasure, as I was discussing in the beginning. When you meet a person like Raghunath Das Goswami, say for example, his love for the holy name will make you feel that all these material things which you have are tuchha, means they are not as tastier, they are not as relishing as that. Means as a conditioned soul, we are always attracted to something which is more tastier, right? If you see a happy person, naturally the question arises in the mind, why is he so happy? Am I missing something? And so on. So the biggest role which these people plays to try to show us that there is a taste in these spiritual matters which is higher than all these materialistic pursuits. we may not exactly be able to match up to Raghunath Das Goswami's level, but at least it makes us question our own faith. And one thing is for sure, that we are not deeply relishing even our material progress. That is for 100% sure. If that was so true, then people after having materialistic pleasures would look so peaceful and satisfied, which is not the case. Nobody, that agitation, there is so much of agitation in the heart. So how is it possible? Of course, he's a manjari and all those things are there. But if we try to, let's say in case of Sita or gopis and Krishna, if we try to limit the pastime saying that, but he's Arjun, but he's Bhishma, but they are great people, so they can do. I am ordinary. If that is the understanding which comes in our mind, then the whole purpose of scriptures will be lost. What is the point of discussing about Arjun? If you consider Arjun can do things because he's a superhero, then there is no point of discussing, right? Like Krishna is trying to tell, this is not like a Marvel movie or DC comics which you are reading. You also can become a superhero. For you to become Arjun, what challenges you will have to go through, I'm telling you that. And how you can get success, I'm also telling you that. And I'm assuring that I will be just with you. But you should decide to be Arjun. Like that. So, and the other thing also, especially in Raghunath Das Goswami's case, as we discussed in the beginning, that in his childhood, he would be associating with Haridas Thakur. So that created impressions in his mind. When you meet a person who is fascinated with great things, it will definitely impress us to some degree. Of course, there were people who were not impressed with Haridas Thakur and they wanted to kill him because of that. But for normal people whose hearts were not too contaminated, they got influenced by that Haridas Thakur's chanting and so on. So the Sangha matters in our life. The kind of association we have, the kind of people we meet, the kind of talks we do, the kind of attitude which we carry, a combination of all of that leads us, I'm saying this, that it leads us gradually, not abruptly. Raghunath Das Goswami, obviously, when we see a short span of life, we'll feel that, he did it in 15 years. He was a 15-year-old boy. No, from the point of soul, your spiritual life is continuing since so many lifetimes. So obviously, in this life, it appears like a 15-year-old, but it's not exactly 15. It's much more than that. Who knows how many years he has been doing that, right? So it's not just the manjari aspect. That's one aspect. But what if we are being told that if we have such rich associations, if we devote our times like this, then we can also walk the path of great experiences in life. Material experiences from poverty to get into some sense of richness, it's great. It's good. Not great. It's good. It gives some sense of relief and assurance. But that's not enough. Now we all know that. We all have experienced that for sure. So that's where Raghunath Das Goswami comes into picture, all of these people. Right? The next journey of greatness will be through sadhana, through our own sincere practices.
Thank you, Prabhu. Such a wonderful explanation. I really liked it, the way you put it, especially saying all these pastimes are the discussions of if common man is unable to do it, then what's the point? The great people already do it. So there is no need to discuss it. So the way to discuss is only for the common folks. So something connected to the common folks that makes them motivate and to move forward. The way Lord Ramchandra, behave like a human being many times. So yes, wonderful explanation. Thank you very much.
Make baby steps, no problem, but just make those baby steps.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, so the next question is from Janaki Mataji. Please go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for your association, and thank you, Vivekanand Prabhu. My question was, maybe it's a bit long question, but help me with the explanation here. So what I was thinking, a thought came, Raghunath Das Goswami was having significant impressions due to his association with Haridas Thakur. And therefore he carried that in his heart, and he was trying to, come to a place where he could be in association eventually. So my question here is, how can one learn or identify, again, we as practicing devotees, how can we learn and identify the material conditioning or challenges that are happening around us? Is that due to our present misdoings or past karmic reactions? So my mind is just thinking between these two. So whatever conditions you are facing, or materially speaking you are in, how do you know that this is what it is meant to be for you?
See, there are, your question is little bit of the astrological types, and in Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Rupa Goswami speaks about this concept of prarabdha, and also the bijam, kutam, papam, and all those manifested and unmanifested results of our actions. So one part of it is that there is a prarabdha, means that which has already been done and it is going to now fructify. So in my life at this point of time, there are two sets of reactions, positive or negative, that is fine, but the source of those reactions. One is those things which have been done in my past lives and which have to be fructified. And another is which I'm doing right now, and those are also fructifying immediately. So let's say I just punch my hand on the wall and I get hurt. So I do not need a prarabdha kind of a reaction that I got hurt because it was in my past karma that I will get hurt. No, I immediately generated an action and that resulted in a karma. So there are certain actions which have been done in the past, which are generating some results, good or bad, both, and certain actions which are being done today, which are generating good and bad results. Certain components of our present action is also part of our prarabdha, in the sense that because of a certain kind of habit which I have developed, I'm doing this certain kind of karmas right now. For example, we always tell our children, don't behave like this, aadat pad jayegi, buri aadat pad jayegi, you will develop a wrong habit. What does that mean? Wrong habit means unintentionally you land up doing some things because you are just got conditioned to certain things. But even though you unintentionally got into that, because of your own inertia of doing certain things in a certain way, you are going to get results. So then from that point, you may say that, oh, why I was doing this action? Because it was part of prarabdha. Obviously, it was part of prarabdha, but then the whole point of free will and human form of life, specifically, which has this ability, is to cut that thing, to generate a karma in the present in a certain way that causes a greater influence and it minimizes the presence of prarabdha. I'll give you one more example. Let's say that prarabdha is a rushing stream of water. You generate your karma in such a way that it is a bigger stream of water which minimizes this past stream of water. So let's say your stream of water or influence of actions is, let's say, little bit negative or not so positive and so on. Then do something right now. That stream of water will not go away, but start putting more effort on a better part. Automatically that stream eventually will get minimized, and then you will have a stream of water which is well defined in a better way. So that's how free will and karma works. In another part of the question which says like about the association and we know what to do and how we can get to that. So eventually we must understand this, that to attain something, rather there is a price to pay for whatever you want. So it's not possible that if by the nature of karma, I have been put into a certain environment for next 20, 30 years, I cannot move out of that environment. Let's say I'm in a certain profession or a job or in a set of a family or certain responsibility. I cannot abruptly go and do certain things. So it's not a negative aspect, that one has to consider that also a progressive aspect and try to see that how to, within that condition, how to put the rush of your own spirituality, your own karma, your own needful things, and refine yourselves that way. If I have been put in a certain environment, that is also because of my own calling. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says this, that's what is Swabhava, right? The 3rd and 5th chapter deal with this aspect of one's own conditioned nature. So conditioning is that which is acquired. When I use this word acquire, means, let's say when you say, oh, I acquired property here, what does that mean? It does not mean that the government decided that, oh, Dayanidhi Prabhu or Divyanam Prabhu, please take one house from this place. No, the government is not distributing houses free of cost. You are going and buying. The moment you buy, you are bound to the taxes of that place. You are bound to the good and bad of that house, environment, structure, whatever it is. You are bound to everything that comes with that. So when we say acquired nature, means aaj jo bhi mera swabhav hai, whatever is my personality and whatever I'm having around me, it is part of my own acquisition. Please understand that.
So are we trying to say, Prabhu, that whatever conditioning we are surrounded with is because of us?
Yes. So one part of is, let's say right now I am in a certain place. I am in America right now. Mm-hmm. It is not that somebody just thought that Jagannath Priya should be in America. No, I decided I want to be here this time, right? That's why I'm here. Nobody has forced me to come here. So if I am in a house in a certain manner, I have decided to have this house. If I have a job here, I have decided to be here. So there is one component of prarabdha, there is another component of my part. So that is one part of it, that I have decided I am responsible for the situations which are around me, good, bad, ugly, all those things. One component is my responsibility. That does not, however, mean that everything which is there is 100% of my responsibility. No, one component. The other component is of we do not have the whole spectrum of our own intelligence, right? Like when I buy a house, or let's say I'm traveling, I have an anticipation. If I go in this place, it will make my life better and so on. But that anticipation is in the mind. It's not in the reality. Nobody has given you a guarantee that if you take job here, you're going to be satisfied. That aspect is in the mind. So you see something, you hear something. Over and above of what you see and hear, the mind creates an imagination. Oh, if I get this, let's say if I have more money, I'm going to get good food and good clothing and good shelter. That is true. That does not, however, mean that I'm going to get peace of mind and a lot of happiness. That does not necessarily always equate like that. But mind creates this thing. So this is a function of the mind. Whenever we try to acquire and indulge in anything which we do, we have a preconceived notion and idea that this will give me more worth. This will add to my worth. And many times when it doesn't then eventually add to our worth, we feel disappointed. Why did this happen? Why am I forced in such a manner? So in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Brahmaji says that the laws of karma, because we all are having a karma which is coming since many lifetimes. Anadi kala. Anadi means that which cannot be recorded. It is so past, like millions and millions of lifetimes, that we cannot exactly bring into record. So Brahmaji says, for someone who wants to be liberated, how will he be liberated? If he starts applying extreme logic on every single good and bad which is happening, you will get confused. So that beautiful verse comes in the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, in the pastimes of Brahmaji hiding the cows and the calves of Krishna. Tattenukampam susamekshmano bhunjan vevatmakritam vipakam ritvagvapurvir vidadhan namaste jive tayo mukti pade sadayava. That one who truly deserves to be liberated, he is grateful through his body, his mind, and his words. In all the good and bad, rit, vak, vapu, through the heart, through the speech, and through the body, he is grateful. For whatever situation he goes through, he takes it as a mercy of the Lord that, okay, this is kripa, this is necessary for my purification, and let me move forward. So that attitude must be developed. Otherwise, the ups and downs will just keep confusing. Some things appear so overwhelming in life, and they may appear disappointing, which can create a sense of depression, and that's not good. I hope it helps.
Yes, Prabhu, it helped. And while this process, how do you keep your sadhana strong and be determined so that you don't doubt your own faith?
See, sadhana is something, I'll tell you something very beautiful about sadhana is that sadhana is not a ritual. Let's say when I have to do puja and arti of the deities here, that is little bit a sense of a ritual, that I'll put flowers, I'll put water and so on, etc., etc. I'll feed. But sadhana is something where a person is expected to be a seeker. So whenever you are doing sadhana, do it in a manner of seeking, not in a manner of ritual. Okay, I take my mala, okay, I have taken a vow, so therefore I will just chant my 16 rounds or X number of rounds, 1 round, 2 rounds, I have promised, so I'll have to do. Of course, that is good. Living up to a promise and commitment and a discipline is very necessary. Krame, as we were discussing, it's dhire dhire sab kuch ho jaye. Slowly and gradually, that is necessary. But sadhana is an aspect where you have to seek, where you are wanting that, my dear Lord, sadhana means there is some sense of acceleration. You know, acceleration, when you are starting a car, you have a sense of jerk because the car is beginning to move. And probably the car is not a very great speed, but the acceleration you can feel. Sometimes you're driving at 100 miles per hour, but then you're feeling as if you're steady. So ritual is like that, steady. You may be probably 100 miles per hour, but it is steady. And seeking means it's that acceleration phase. So when you're doing sadhana, do it in a manner of acceleration, that you, even if you can do 1 round, as you're saying, how do you keep focus on the sadhana? Do 1 round in a way that as if I have nothing else in this world which is important. I have no brother, no mother, no sister, no husband, no wife. I am nobody of anybody. I'm not any of these things. I am. This is the holy name. And I have nothing important in this world to accomplish. Whatever I had to accomplish has been accomplished or will never get accomplished. I don't care. But this 1 round, I have to chant. I'm going to be chanting that way. So sit at least 5 minutes like that, and then you chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. At least 1 round do like that. 1 round. I'm not saying many rounds. For those who are chanting 16 rounds also, I'm saying. Don't make it like you wake up in the morning and rush your hand into the bead bag and then the ritual starts. No, just 1 round. Just 1 round chant as if sit in front of God. Open your vyasas, not vyasas, your asana. Remember the first day when you came in touch with devotees. And when you took the mala, how did you chant? You actually sat down, you closed your eyes, and you did not want to bring any thought. Just 1 round at least chant like that. Other rounds you do however is convenient, you can manage. But 1 round at least should be in a way that you are seeking, that there is nothing else which is important. That will nourish you, they will nourish your sadhana, and you will have a great, great experience in the process of it.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much for the wonderful discussion. So before we move on, I would like to ask Prabhuji if we have a little more time for one more question. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. So one last question we have from Mother Gail. Mata,
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much
Hare
for
Krishna.
this class and for your answers. Actually, I have a question, but your last answer sparked a need for clarification. So this concept of acceleration versus, going steadily at 100 miles per hour, I wasn't so clear. So when we chant that first round attentively, I think you were saying that's like acceleration. And then therefore, when we go at 100 miles per hour, like we don't even feel it. What is that analogous to?
Yeah, so I'm saying, like, let's say that let me give an example. Let's say I drink a lot, I smoke a lot, I have a lot of bad habits, and I have all the 4 regulative principles, and so many other things are violated, and I have a life which is all shabby. And slowly, I start doing something. I come in touch with devotees, and I start improving my lifestyle. So there is an acceleration because of which the change happened. Now I start chanting 1 round and 2 rounds, which is good. Over a period of time, that has to become steady. Then I chant a little bit more rounds. I get involved in services and so on. Like my whole lifestyle starts changing. But eventually, if that acceleration minimizes, I may be at a high speed, but then, like I'm doing now chanting, following 4 regulative principles is not a problem. Doing 16 rounds, not a problem. Seva, it is not a problem, but everything is going steady, that is fine. Eventually, in this steadiness, if a devotee is not attentive in this steadiness also, that inattention can make him lose taste in the things which he's doing, and eventually the devotee also becomes slackened. And that's why we see many devotees after some time, they become spaced out, they feel lost, they no longer feel as nourished as they used to feel earlier. So that's what I'm saying, that now I have reached a steadiness which is necessary for to be at that pace or that rhythm. But now, because I do not have attention in that pace, then I may make accidents, I may lose my pace, and my acceleration is gone. So eventually everything stops. So when I mean acceleration, I was trying to mean in the sense that a devotee, no matter where you are and which stage of life you are in, you are a newcomer, you are an advanced devotee or whatever, keep seeking as if you have something to aspire, and keep seeking that you don't know nothing. Somewhere where you don't feel, where you feel that you are still a student, you know nothing. Keep seeking. Learn and evolve. That process of learning and evolution should never stop. If it stops, that cruising will eventually create distractions. When you're doing this cruise, you remove the hand, the car says immediately, put your hands, otherwise it stops. So the idea is that, what I mean to say.
Yeah, clear, Prabhu. Thank you. And then actually my original question was about when you drew that analogy, when you're talking about parabdha karma, and free will, you use the analogy of, let's say you have a steady stream coming in, but then you can overpower that steady stream by how you use your free will. And so I was wondering if because I needed an example of that. So one thing that came to my mind was, let's say a person is an alcoholic, right? That's their parabdha karma because they have overindulged in alcohol as a habit in previous life, right? So they're an alcoholic in this life. So now, that's the steady stream that's coming in now. And then if a greater stream to overpower that would be maybe if they were to attend, Alcoholics Anonymous and try to follow that process, would that be an example of what you're trying to say?
Yes, exactly. Use your mind, intellect, and that's the larger stream. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, and I also said that the larger stream would not immediately stop the back stream, but it will start influencing, and gradually the other stream will get minimized eventually.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, Prabhu, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So thank you again. And before we close, just a couple of announcements. So next Saturday is also a very auspicious day. It's Vasant Panchami and appearance and disappearance of some of our acharyas. So we'll have His Grace Adi Gadadhar Prabhu coming next Saturday, and he'll be speaking on Mother Vishnu Priya. So it's going to be a very wonderful discussion. So we request everyone, you can come back. Same channel, same time, 10 a.m. EST. And following weekend is also very special. It's a Dwadashi or Ekadashi day, but very, very close to Nityanand Triyadashi, and we'll have His Grace Radhika Raman Prabhu talking about Nityanand Prabhu. So we'll be having a pre-celebration of Nityanand Triyadashi festival. So that will be on February 12th. So with that, once again, on behalf of all the devotees of our whole Richmond Yatra, we express our sincere gratitude to His Grace Jagannath Priya Prabhu for giving his valuable time and association and wonderful katha to all of us. So thank you very, very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
And then
Krishna.
maybe one last request. We see beautiful, beautiful deities behind you. If you can give us a little closer darshan, that would be so wonderful.
Yes.
They're so beautiful. Jai.
So they are Radha Bansi Bihari.
Wow, beautiful.
And they are God Nitai.
Jai. Beautiful. Jai. Thank you so very much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jagat Guru Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Hare Krishna.